Check, check. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for doing this interview with me. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me. I think that our talk and hopefully your experience at BYU Hawaii can hopefully benefit other students who are looking into this school or who have just found upon BYU Hawaii. So thank you so much for doing this interview with me. First,
Thank
let's just
you.
start out with introducing yourself. Uh, Tell me what school you went to, what did you study, and how long did you go to school for?
Cool. Yeah. So again, my name is Max Moncur, and I went to Brigham Young University of Hawaii, or some people just call it BYU Hawaii. I studied business management. Here we don't have all the different business majors. It's just a business management major with an emphasis in finance, and then I also minored in entrepreneurship. And I was at BYU Hawaii for about 4 years long.
4 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you want to study this major?
A lot of different things. My dad studied business, and I've always been intrigued by marketing. And so I thought I was going to do marketing, and my dad studied business management and marketing. And he's like, it's just way too broad. Like, if you study marketing, I would recommend doing something as like a partner, like do something that will support it. Like maybe like a field you want to market in or something. But marketing alone is just like super competitive. So there was that. I knew I wanted to be entrepreneurial. I wanted to understand finances. I was looking into accounting, but this kid told me his like first accounting test was like 6 hours long, and I was like, heck no!
Oh
Like,
my
there's
goodness.
no way I'm taking 6 hour test. And my accounting classes were pretty tough that I was in. Like there was like the intro accounting classes, and like the first like bigger accounting class was the 6 hour test. Anyway, so like the intro ones I was taking during like cross countries and stuff, and it was just way too gnarly for me. And
Hmm.
so yeah, eventually I just kind of was like, yeah, I think finance is good for my future, and it sounds fun and it sounds interesting. So that's what I went for.
Can you explain to me the type of assignments or even projects that come to your mind right now that pretty much describes what a student could be looking or preparing themselves for studying this major?
Lots of formulas. You have to learn lots of different formulas, Excel sheets. Um, Looking back, the project that stands out the most to me was at a teacher who had us do a stock report, and that totally changed my life. Like, I don't think that like understanding stocks is essential to your success as a financial major, but I mean, if you're going to be a finance guy or finance girl, like understanding stocks is pretty cool. Like it's a very helpful use. And like, how many people do you know investing in the stock market? Not many.
Yeah.
But because of that class, I did my stock report on Lowe's, and I totally crushed it. My teacher loved it. And it was cool because when I did the report, the stock was at like $90, and now it's like $160 or something. I think 170. I was looking the other day, and my report basically was all about, I did all this research, and I was like, why should you buy or sell recommendation? And I gave a buy. I'm like, this stock is going to take off. It's going to do really good. Give it a year or so, and you're going to almost have like double your money. And here we are. Like the stock is up big time. So that project was really cool, doing a stock report. And then also I took a real estate finance class, and that was cool. I mean, it was a lot of formulas, but just learning about, I'm intrigued by real estate. And so learning all those formulas, how real estate works, financing, all that stuff that I didn't really understand before. But yeah, math, it's not like extreme calculus math, which I can't do, but it's a lot of math for sure. And I'm not much of a math guy, but I can do it. So
That's interesting. You
yeah,
guys have real estate finance. That's actually pretty cool. Because at my
yeah.
school, we didn't have real estate finance. It was just mainly just like stock options and bonds and all this
I
stuff.
mean, yeah, we did that too. We did that. We did corporate finance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I had a tough time with finance at my school, so
it's tough.
I did not major into it. But
Well, like I said, like for me, like our finance, it was more of like a business management major with an emphasis in finance. So it wasn't like overload finance, thankfully. or else I think that would have been a little tougher for me.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Um, have you used those skills or all those things you learned in finance today?
So, I mean, I got one of those little financial calculators. I don't know if you needed one of those.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't really used it, but like I did learn, how to calculate certain, like when you're buying a car, or like if I were to ever buy a house, I know like certain formulas how to calculate things, which are cool. I haven't gotten to use it quite yet, and I definitely would need a refresher. But like haven't really used that. The stock, like I said, that stock report really kind of helped me gain some confidence in getting into the stock market. So I am in the stock market. I'm not super big into it. I play around here and there. I want to get more into it, but I just don't really have lots of money, especially right now due to COVID. I'm not playing around with big money,
Yeah.
but that gave me confidence I'm able to use. And um, besides that, I mean, honestly, I didn't want to go work in the finance world. I just wanted the financial knowledge and just
Yeah.
understanding things for my own personal business. And, I know how to work a balance sheet, I guess, and stuff like that for my own business that I'm running. But I mean, nothing major.
Okay. Now I just want to get into maybe talk about your work ethic a little bit. So that report that you did with the stock report on Lowe's with your teacher, did you put like a lot of work into it?
So I got to be honest, it was like one of those things where you had like months to prepare for. And like the teacher told us about it at like the beginning of the semester. And I was just like, nah, like I'll do that. And like I'd heard like not to save it to the last second, but I totally saved it to like the last second.
Uh-huh.
But it was cool because once I dove into it, I didn't like save it to like the last couple hours, but I gave myself like the last couple days.
Yeah.
But once I dove into it, I was just stoking on, like it was so fun, and like I was learning so much, and I don't know, it meshed really well with what I was interested in. And like Lowe's, it's not a company I necessarily love, but it was one I was intrigued by, I guess, because I chose it.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I just cranked it out. It came really quickly, and I was actually very surprised. Like I did get a very high grade for amount of time I put into it, but also the time I did put into it, I committed to like do my best, and so
I'm
it
sure
worked
it felt,
out.
yeah, I'm sure it felt pretty good when a teacher, talked about how good of a report you've done, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, especially because she knows stocks really well. So I was like, oh, I wish I'd bought stock after that, but I didn't. I should have. Oh well.
Well, I mean, the stock market will always keep on going. I mean, if it doesn't, then I don't know. I think that means the end of the world or something like that. So,
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah. On to the next question. What kind of experience did you have attending BYU Hawaii?
So I like to think that everyone has a life-changing experience. I'm sure everyone does in some form or another, but I like to truly say like my experience at BYU Hawaii changed my life. It I wouldn't say it like made me be something I didn't want to, but it helped me evolve and understand certain things that like I wasn't able to understand without coming here. Like
Mhm.
it just helped me become a man, helped me understand, you know, and like the people I met,
Mhm.
the teachers I had, it all came together for just like the most perfect experience. Like people say like it's not what you necessarily wanted, but it's what you needed. Like there's definitely things that like I didn't expect or like plan for going into school,
Mhm.
but it was exactly what I needed. I look back and it's like just like the most perfect, blissful experience ever. Like I loved it. It's so cool.
Nice. So you said that college kind of made you feel like more of a man. Are there any situations or things that happened that made you feel like, okay, like I'm growing up a little bit?
Um, I think just like realizing, so I don't want to say this and make people like feel bad, but like for me, I think I learned to be more selfless. And I see, a lot of people, they want to be single for a long time. They want to travel the world. They want to, do all these things on like this big bucket list, which I think is cool. I think it's important to go and do what you want. But for me, it helped me learn like everything I do isn't about myself. And, the time I use, it's not my time necessarily. Like it is my time, but I can use my time all about me, or I can use it to help others. So that was something that kind of changed before school a little bit, but also like with school, like helped me understand, especially with my business ventures. Like I want it, everything I do in life, I want it to be serving and helping others. And I think that really changed, and just kind of like making sacrifices. Like when I first got to school, it was just, you want to have fun, you want to be at the beach, you want to be hiking all the time. I was on the cross country team. I was like, dude, like who cares about my grades necessarily? Like I wasn't failing or getting like bad grades, but I wasn't putting in like the work to
Mhm.
get I was like, dude, I have a full ride scholarship. Like, why should I be getting straight A's? Like, who even cares? Like, let's just learn what I need to. Like, it's not like my A's are going to affect me 10 years down the road. Like, I'm going to have a job no matter what, and I'm going to be doing what I want to. I'll
Mhm.
figure it out. So I think, yeah, just learning like, the importance of what you do, how you do it. It's not about you.
Yeah, I see. So speaking of a student athlete, how are student athletes treated at BYU Hawaii?
So Byuh, Hawaii, super small school, like 3,000 students, smaller than our high school. Sports, it's not your typical, school of sports. Like people weren't going to the games, they weren't coming to watch the races.
Mhm.
Like people would, but just, I mean, maybe it just seemed that way because our student population was so small. But like out on the North Shore of Hawaii, there's not much to do. So you would think that there was, I mean, there is a lot to do. It's like beach and hike, but like at night when like the games were, you think there'd be more people at these games. Anyways, like we were treated great
Mhm.
for the most part. You like, it's not like you were, the best of the team, and you walk into class and people are like, oh, congrats, like good race, or like no one really acknowledged that.
Yeah.
But like within the student athlete community, like we were all super tight. Like I said, the school's super small, so you really knew all the other athletes. They did a good job bringing us all together.
That's cool.
And I wouldn't say there's like any special treatment from teachers, but BYU Hawaii as a whole is a very understanding and forgiving school. Like the culture, the teachers understand. Like there's kids from all over the world speaking different languages, different cultures they're coming from. So like they're already pretty forgiving. So if you were like, hey, I do have a race, I'm going to be gone on the Big Island this weekend, can I have a break? Like, can I have like an extra day or something? Like, as long as you talk to teachers, they'd help you out. But I wouldn't say there's like this extra special treatment for student athletes.
I
But it was
see.
pretty cool to be one.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool. So what was everyone, so other than like hiking and like going to the beach, like what else is there to do in Hawaii?
Um,
It's like, it's kind of like like Hawaii, like what I think of it as, it's a vacation spot. So it's like
yeah,
I'm just kind of curious, like as a student there and you're living there in Hawaii, like what's it like?
yeah. I mean, when people come to Hawaii, I mean, what, you go to a resort and you hang out in your resort all day, and maybe go out a couple times. Mostly you're in your resort at the beach or like at the pools, or you're, the family that goes to the hotels or the Airbnbs, and you're more out in the community, going to the local beaches and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, so that's what we did. We went to the beaches, you went and watched the surf competitions. There's lots of hikes, and obviously in the ocean, there's like spearfishing. You can snorkel a lot, like lots of cool. And then like the jobs you can get are pretty cool because lots of like tourist focused jobs. So there's like tour guides. So you can be like a zipline tour guide. You can be a tour guide at the Polynesian Cultural Center, which is right next to our school. It's kind of like a Polynesian Disneyland without rides.
That's cool.
um, Segway tour, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just mostly just chilling, cruising. Not really much of a nightlife in our local little town. We have a
Mhm.
small little movie theater. We have what they call the hub on campus. So I was a bowling alley, some games and stuff. But just lots of chilling. People get into like music and stuff, but nothing major. It's
That's
a pretty
cool.
simple lifestyle.
Nice, nice. It's
Skating, I guess, too.
oh, yeah, skating too. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of want to talk about, did you have to go to church while you were attending BYU Hawaii?
Yeah. So I guess so I assume a lot of your listeners one day won't be members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So at BYU's, you kind of sign an agreement. Basically, it's called the Honor Code, that you'll go to church every week. So I wouldn't say they make you, but it's like part of your agreement. So you're like kind of forced to, but a lot of people don't. But
Mhm.
I chose to. So yeah, I went to church every Sunday for 2 hours.
I see. Nice. And then, were there any non-Mormons?
Yeah. So one of the biggest bummers, so they did cut our sports after my first 2 years, and a lot of the athletes actually weren't members.
Oh,
And
okay.
so once they got rid of sports, that kind of hurt the uh, non-member of the church population. But yeah, there's still some. A lot of people, they're like, oh, there's a school on the North Shore of Oahu. Like, that's pretty sick. And so there are a few, but I wouldn't say there's a lot. Like, it's not like in every class you have one. There's a lot of classes where you probably do not have a member. That's how few there are.
So how come some of the non-Mormons were hurting like after being there for, a couple years and they cut the sports? Like why were they having
But
a good time?
well, I think just like that's what brought them here.
I
I
see.
think that our coaches would recruit, especially from other countries. And I think a lot of international kids would just kind of look for schools in Hawaii and they're like, oh, there's a BYU. And once the sports were gone, there's nothing for them to play for. And so they all took their talents to other schools.
I
I
see.
don't think it was they're like forced out. It was more just like, oh, there's no sports here, and that's what I came here for. So off I go.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
All right, next question. So, you're pretty much done with BYU Hawaii. Did you end up finding a job or a career right out of the gates of college?
No, I didn't. And I think that's part on me, part on my school. Um, the school does have a student career center.
Mhm.
I didn't utilize it. Um, but I also would say that the school is still learning to utilize it better. They're trying to help. It's definitely a weakness for BYU Hawaii. They're not really good at helping you find a job. You have to do a lot on your own.
Mhm.
And I did have a lot of resources. I did have teachers that helped me do stuff, but I didn't put myself out on a limb enough. Um, I should have, but it just wasn't something I was really all that worried about. I kind of thought it would all like come into play.
Mhm.
There was a lot of things playing into it. I did apply for jobs and I just wasn't really sure. Like I said, I want to start my own business. I wasn't really sure of where I wanted to take my career. I didn't know if I wanted to go get a job and learn on someone else's dime before starting my own business, or if I want to just dive straight into the, entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
And looking back, I wish I had kind of gone a little harder in my job searching, but
Mhm.
I didn't. But it's okay because it all worked out. So whatever.
So, if you don't mind me asking, like, how come you didn't reach out to the career center?
Well, so I had classes that, the Career Center would come into our classes. We would do certain projects with the Career Center, but the Career Center was really limited. It didn't have very many options. It didn't feel like I had the connections that I wish I had compared
Yeah.
to like what I heard my friends had at other schools.
Mhm.
And like I would go to the career fairs and stuff. I'd talk to people. I would send resumes, and I just never really heard back or really found opportunities that I felt like I wanted to get into. So I kind of, just laxed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason why I'm asking this is just because, I mean, this is part of the purpose of going to college, right? You go in and hopefully you come out with like a job or a career, and I think that's kind of why I kind of started
Yeah.
this, just to kind of see if schools are actually like, um, giving that promise. Um, I just think that either, they need to work on something, or is it like the students that need to work on something. So I thank you for being, honest with me about that.
Yeah.
Um, so how long did it take you to actually find that job right out of college?
So I did things kind of a little weird. I graduated in December of 2018. Like
Okay.
I walked to graduation, but I finished up my schooling in a study abroad
Okay.
from January 2019 to April 2019.
That's cool.
And so because of that, what'd you say?
Where'd you go?
Oh, I went to Jerusalem.
Ah,
So Israel, had a little bit of time over in Egypt and Jordan as well. It was mostly kind of like a church study abroad. It's kind of like a spiritual experience, not like this pilgrimage, it wasn't anything like that, but it's just like kind of like a religious study with studying the history of that region,
mhm.
the life of Jesus and stuff like that. And I thought that'd be a cool way to kind of cap off my studies.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was through BYU. They have a center, a study center over there. But yeah, so knowing that I was going to go on that study abroad, it was kind of hard for me to commit to a job
Mhm.
or like be like, oh yeah, let's go get this job because like I didn't know what my timeline was when I wanted to start when I get back. So I went on that study abroad. I came back, and then yeah, so me and my girlfriend, now wife, were dating. We were trying to figure out like what we were gonna do, and we eventually just decided to get married because she wanted to come back out and finish her schooling.
Mhm.
And so that kind of like I was like, oh, okay, where am I gonna get a job in Hawaii? Getting a job in Hawaii is so tough, so freaking tough. Like
Really?
it it's competitive out there, especially finance. And so I'm like looking, and thankfully I had a friend who worked for one of the BYU Hawaii teachers who owned a digital marketing agency. I wouldn't say it was a career job, but it was a job.
Yeah.
And he offered me a sales position. It wasn't salary, it was mostly commission with a little bit of base
Yeah.
pay. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity. And then I got my assistant or my head coaching job at the high school, local high school out here, coaching cross country. So that kind of, it was a, a comfort. It was a cushion for me, I guess, to kind of okay, get married, come back to Hawaii,
Mhm.
have something to do until I found my career, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So you found your jobs by like word of mouth a little bit, or like just
Yes.
looking?
Yeah. So my friend Connor, like I was just asking around and I remembered
Mhm.
he worked for this company. So I was like, hey, if you have any openings, let me know. And he's like, oh yeah, I actually do. Cause I was just kind of asking around, asking people I
Yeah.
knew that did have jobs.
Yeah.
And yeah, totally worked out. It was perfect timing.
So you did networking, and were you also doing like Glassdoor or
Yeah.
those
Indeed.
like job boards? Yeah, Indeed
I was on Indeed, not so much Glassdoor, Indeed and LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn.
And then I was just applying to every job possible at the
Mhm.
university because they have like lots of like part-time kind of
Yeah,
like visiting teacher jobs, and then they have other like full-time jobs to help run whatever school operations.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
Well, when did you start your business? Specifically, the banana one, right?
yeah, Bonanza.
Bananza.
So I started that sales job last September
Uh-huh.
and coaching basically the same time. But when COVID hit this March, I got let go from my sales job.
Mm,
And my wife was in school. Money was pretty tight. We just got married. I didn't have a lot of savings before we got married. She didn't have a lot of savings. So money was tight. We were living a very frugal, simple lifestyle. And there was kind of a lot of pressure for me to go. She had a campus job. So thankfully she didn't lose her job. But there's a lot of pressure for me to go find something new.
yeah.
And as I was looking at all the job boards, obviously most companies were letting people go, not trying to pick someone up. I mean,
Yeah.
there was Walmart and Costco, and not really any Amazon fulfillment centers out here. So it was basically Costco, Walmart, Target, like grocery stores picking up night shifts for people to work, helping stock and like,
Yeah.
help the COVID rush. Especially out here, there's like lines around Costco and stuff because people were freaking
Yeah.
out, trying to get toilet paper. It was stocked out.
Mhm.
So there's like these jobs that need the money,
Mhm.
or do I go, do I wait to find something I want to do, which it's kind of like, oh, we need the money, or do I go do my own thing, which I've always talked about, but was super uncertain about. And so finally in April, I was just like, Tessa, wife, I'm doing this. Like, can you support me? Does this sound good? Can we do it? And we sent it. We filed for an LCC
Yeah.
and started, going after the business. And we started the business officially, opened up on October 16th, just a couple of weeks ago, months, I guess now. But
That's a lot of pressure, man. Like you literally just got married, let go of your job. How'd you do it, man? How'd you stay? I don't know. I always knew you were a cool, calm, and collected guy. Like how'd you do it up here like mentally through all that?
so a lot of that comes from everything that I have experienced in my life, all the way back to cross country in high school. I think high school cross country has given me so much, has taught me so many things. And then my mission to the Philippines has taught me so many things in my schooling and just my upbringing. Like everything kind of came together, but especially my schooling out here, I had so many teachers who just believed that you could do anything. And just my whole 4 years at school, they're like, start a business, do this, like we will help you. You have the resources, don't wait.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just kind of believe that like all good things work out, whether it does result in failure or not.
Mhm.
Like it's worth taking the risk, and something good will come of it. And so like all these things were going through my mind. I was like, is money really everything? Like we don't need, we have enough savings for us to take this risk. Why
Mhm.
not? And like our savings weren't a lot. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong, our savings were thin, but my wife had her job. Thankfully, we did qualify for a little bit of government assistance. We got some stimulus, the stimulus checks and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I just listened to everything I'd heard my whole life, every good thing, and I put aside all the doubts, and I was like, all right, we're doing this.
That's awesome, man. I give you
Yeah,
props for that. That's awesome.
thanks.
So, can you explain to me the steps it took to open your business? I always feel like a lot of people are into that, entrepreneurial phase, and if they want to know like how to do it, how do you do it?
So it was
Okay.
years of dreaming that I'd have a business and brainstorming of what I wanted to do and doubting myself and saying I couldn't do it, I couldn't afford it. And then it got to the point where I started heavily considering an idea. So last November 2019, I was like, okay, like this is what I want to do. I've always wanted to own my own ice cream shop. So that's kind of how Bonanza came to be. Um, and I wanted to do hand dipped ice cream bars, kind of like Balboa bars, Newport. I don't know if you ever had those,
Yeah.
but I wanted to do that out here. And so I started brainstorming. We bought chocolate, we bought, the stuff needed. And then I hit a roadblock. I couldn't find a supplier out here that supplied the vanilla ice cream bars, the little square ice cream bars on a stick that I dip in the chocolate.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what do I do? Like, there's no one out here that supplies that. There is someone that could supply it, but it's going to cost a lot of money. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I can just do chocolate dipped bananas, which is what we do at Bonanza now. And I was like, oh, that's more like Hawaii-esque anyways. Like, that'll be kind of cool. Like, let's do it. Like, chocolate dipped frozen bananas, that's it. And so BYU Hawaii has an entrepreneurship competition every semester. And I
Mhm.
wasn't a student anymore, but Tessa was. So we entered it together through her in March after all this test running and sampling with ourselves and friends. And because of COVID, that competition got canceled.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, there was kind of like, oh, well, what do I do? I lost my job. And then I was like, okay, this is it. We're starting the business. We're going to, this is going to be my COVID project. I'm going to build out our trailer. So I bought a trailer on Facebook Marketplace. I had a friend who offered to give me all the wooden materials that I needed to build my trailer in exchange for help around his farm and remodeling. So that was a huge blessing. But like, there's kind of like the grind where you're figuring out all the paperwork, how to build everything, get everything up to code. And then finding a location was probably the toughest thing because not many people wanted to bring new tenants in because of all the questions with COVID.
Mhm.
And so like for 2 months, I was looking for a spot. And it was probably like, it's 2 months straight looking for a spot, but probably like 4 or 5 months as a whole, kind of looking and then landing a spot, making sure everything was ready to go, moving the trailer into its spot, and then having a grand opening. So, I mean, there wasn't much specifics there, but it was, that was the process. It all happened so fast, honestly. It was
Yeah, it
crazy.
sure sounds like it.
Yeah.
Where are you guys located in like a marketplace, like a grocery marketplace, or?
So yeah, it's called the Haleiwa Store Lots. It's in town of Haleiwa on the North Shore. It's a very touristy little visiting spot. The
That's
Haleiwa Store Lots is where we're located. So they have Matsumoto Shave Ice, which is kind of like the place everyone comes for. It's like a generational
okay.
big thing, but there's like a bunch of different, there's Thai restaurant right next to us. There's a burger place, bunch of little like shops, like pearls, jewelry stuff, art shops.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of like a all-encompassing little fun visitor center, I guess.
Was it strategic to put your place there?
Yeah, and it's funny how it all worked out. I'm praying, just hoping to find a place. And ideally we wanted to be over by school, by BYU Hawaii, because I wanted to serve the students, but like tourists come through because of the Polynesian Cultural Center. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's kind of like a Polynesian Disneyland. It's right next to school. It's where a lot of the international students work and kind of get their education paid for. And they have a little food truck area basically there. So I thought it'd be cool for us to be there, but they didn't want to bring anyone in because of COVID. And then I kind of just went every town up the road trying to stay as close as possible and kept getting rejected. There's nothing, like no opportunities. I even went to Haleiwa and I couldn't find anything. And eventually I went to this town that we didn't want to be in, but we just wanted to open and thought we could sign like a short-term lease and be there. And the person that managed the property there actually managed where we're at in Haleiwa now. And she's like, I don't think this spot is a good fit for you in this town you don't really want to be in, but this spot in Haleiwa, where we are now,
Yeah.
would be a great fit. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Perfect. Thank you. And
Cool.
it just worked out.
Nice, man. Wow. I can't believe you got all that done in that short amount of time. That's crazy. So what are some of I mean, we kind of already got into this. So you were talking about a lot of the complications of running this business during COVID was just like, trying to find a spot or all the paperwork stuff. Did you have any trouble with like getting customers?
So that is our main issue.
Okay.
So obviously, so where we're at, they get 2.5 million tourists on average per year. And I think that was a couple of years ago. So I'm sure that number was up. But because of COVID, I was looking at the numbers, like I think visitors to Oahu for the month of September was down 97% from last year. So we're getting like barely anything compared to what we used to.
Yeah.
And so the foot traffic just isn't there. Like it's hard for, like, people aren't finding us.
Yeah.
Like, because this is where we're at. It's an area where people will walk around and see, what's going on. Like they'll see, oh, chocolate dip frozen bananas. Let's go try that.
Yeah.
And we don't have that. And so Matsumoto's, like I was talking about, that's kind of like the main place that people come to our little spot for, like the visitors. So they go straight to Matsumoto's and leave. And if they do walk by us, some of them will come and buy a chocolate dip frozen banana, but they're usually so set on Matsumoto's. And if they already get a Matsumoto's, they're like, oh, I'm not going to get two sweet things. So yeah, like we don't really have the tourist traffic to find us, but also we don't really have the name out there yet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to build that when you don't have a lot of customers. We've had great local support, thankfully, and people are slowly learning about us.
Yeah.
So our main issue is just the lack of traffic, the lack of tourism right now.
How much is a frozen banana?
So a chocolate dip frozen. So we don't just sell a banana dipped in chocolate. So it's a chocolate dipped frozen banana. We dip it in a gourmet chocolate that we melt down. It's a Ghirardelli chocolate, and then we cover it in all sorts of toppings. Okay. So we have like Oreos, Biscoff cookie, pretzels, coconut, and then we have all these like really good sauces. Here we have sea salt caramel, Nutella, peanut butter. So like it's not just a chocolate dip frozen banana. So I feel like I needed to give some Bananza, we sell chocolate dip frozen bananas, but they're not just a banana dipped in chocolate. They're like, bigger bananas that we dip in a gourmet chocolate that we melt down. It's a Ghirardelli chocolate. So it's kind of like a nicer gourmet, good tasting chocolate. And then we cover them in all these different toppings like Oreos, pretzels, coconut. And then we have all these different drizzles as well, like sea salt, caramel, Nutella, peanut butter. So it's not, it's a little bit nicer than just, a chocolate frozen banana, So we charge $6.25. So it's kind of like a premium, but like all we wanted to make it a more gourmet, really high quality product. And I think that's why we charge. But also like, that sounds expensive, but like the rent out here is ridiculous. Like rent's expensive, life's expensive. That's just the price of things in Hawaii. So.
Man, I mean, if I saved up to go to Hawaii and I see, a little frozen banana, me and my wife are definitely gonna try some. I'm gonna see what you have. Try something.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Is it like, can you customize your own toppings, or is it just like you have set little names that have?
Yeah, we have set little names where if someone's like, hey, I want so like we sell a coconut one with caramel, but if someone sees like the coconut one with caramel, they're like, okay, but I want peanut butter. That doesn't sound good to me anyways, but like people want it. Like
I want almond butter on with like little gummy bears on my frozen chocolate banana.
Well, we aren't that diverse yet, but I mean there is customization allowed. Okay. You can mix and match the toppings and the drizzles and stuff.
That's cool.
No gummy bears. Yeah, that's a good idea though.
There you go. No, because like I saw your picture about the bananas, and I was thinking like, oh man, like I would love. I'm like a you know how like Mexican candy, they're normally like kind of spicy. So
Yeah.
I like sweet and spicy stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you get like a little tahini on it, and then put some like kind of like a pineapple drizzle on top of it. I don't know if that would be good.
Ooh,
I've never tried that, but I don't know.
yeah.
Like if I saw that, I would get that.
Come in January, we're gonna be having the flaming hot Cheetos with honey.
Flaming hot Cheetos with honey?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that sounds
good. Sounds weird, but it's good.
oh, I
So
bet.
we dip it in chocolate, then roll it in like flaming hot Cheeto crumbs, and then a
Oh,
light drizzle of honey on top.
wow,
It's
nice.
good.
I like did you always like dip like bananas and stuff before you did this business?
No.
Yeah.
So like to anyone that's listening to this, like I've never dipped a banana in my life. I never even had a banana in my life. I'm an ice cream guy. I told you I want to have my own ice cream place, but I'd seen the bananas before. So it's
Okay.
just like it's just and it was taking someone else's idea and just doing it better. And I
Yeah.
think that's a big misconception of entrepreneurship. It's like, oh, I have to go start my own business, my own new idea. No, you go take someone else's idea and do it better. That's all we did. And I just figured it out. I did DM people on social media that had done something before. Some people were super friendly. Actually, most people were super unfriendly. One
Really?
lady in Arizona was very friendly and she helped us out. And, bless her soul because she gave us so much encouragement and tips that totally helped us. And that's kind of my goal now that I'm a business owner. I want to help as many people as I can.
Yeah. So you said well you were seeking help about how to do all this entrepreneurial stuff?
Yeah. So like obviously I had, teachers and parents and friends who could help me like entrepreneurially,
Mhm.
like from, like running a business standpoint, but like doing chocolate frozen bananas specifically, like I don't have a bunch of friends that do that. I had friends that worked in the food truck business,
Mhm.
but I had to figure, certain things out that are specific to the business I want to start. And so I'd go to other business owners and some people were just so closed off. They wouldn't share. They wouldn't even respond. You could see they saw your message, but they just wouldn't respond. And who knows why? But you know, I did talk to one lady. Shout out her. She runs a place called Balboa's in Arizona, Mesa, I think. If you're ever in Mesa, Arizona, go to Balboa's. And she was super friendly. Gave us all the help that I asked for, and gave us as many tips. Did you hear what I said in Arizona?
Yeah, Balboa's. How'd you find her? Was it like LinkedIn or
No, just Instagram. Started searching
oh,
chocolate frozen banana places. And actually, there's a place in my hometown, or like near in San Clemente,
mhm.
called South Swell. And so I tried connecting with them first, and then through them, I saw other people that followed or suggested searches and stuff. And so I just kind of made connections till I found her Balboa's.
Let's see. That's cool,
Yeah,
man. That's cool.
yeah.
So on to my final question. This is kind of like the most important question to, I guess, my idea. Was going to BYU Hawaii worth it?
Yes, 100 and more percent yes. I don't love school. I wouldn't say I'm not a school person. I love learning so much, but I don't love how school is run. I don't love testing. I don't love grades and like how they, you know, thankfully in my school, they don't make it so only 5 people in the class can get an A and then, a certain amount of people have to get B's and C's and stuff. My school wasn't like that, thankfully, but I don't like, busy work. I like everything with purpose. I think I would have excelled in like a trade school.
Mhm.
Thankfully, BYU Hawaii is kind of like that, and like the
Okay.
entrepreneurship department was very hands-on. Like they had you go and do stuff, start businesses, or just a lot of stuff that like help you get into starting a business. So yeah, school was totally worth it. And for a long time, I thought, Division 1, big name school, that was the only way.
Yeah.
BYU, it's a big name, but I went to the small one in the middle of the ocean, which some people would say is better. I think it's better. I loved it out here. It's small though, and less opportunities in the business, or just getting connections to get a job out of school. But going to BYU Hawaii was worth it. Like I said, it changed my life. I've made some of my best friends. I met my wife, which obviously is the best thing that's come out of my schooling. I got to run for 2 years. I got to focus on school for 2 years after. I got to live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And
Mhm.
now I have, just all the tools. I legit feel like I have tools to succeed. I have before I had a family, and, teammates and friends. But now I have, my teachers, and I have a web that connects me to the world outside of my hometown, and just the tools I need to succeed. And whether you're a school person or not, try to get an education. I think that you can get jobs. Google and Amazon stuff, they say they'll hire without a degree nowadays. I think a degree is totally worth it, though. It's the principle of going to school and getting a degree. Obviously, some people will still go through life without getting school, but I totally recommend finding a school that fits your needs. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Go to a school that connects you to where you want to be, what you want to do, live the lifestyle you want to live. I didn't want to be entrenched in school. I didn't want to be in my, the school's library all day.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to be entrepreneurial. I wanted to be able to be a student athlete without stressing. I wanted to go to the beach and hike and experience other things besides studying all day. And BYU, Hawaii was everything and more. Changed my life. It was awesome.
That's awesome, man. Well, Max,
Loved it.
well said, guy. Well said. Again, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I think people are going to learn a lot from your talk. Just because I feel like you're the interview that's been the most real, especially during like COVID. Just you're saying a lot of details, and that's kind of what I'm looking for, man. Like, I'm looking for some realism, some honesty. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And if I might add real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
one, if you want to come to school at BYU and you're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or a Mormon, you can still do it. Like, you're not going to be pressured. Like, so if you're not a member, you don't have to go to church, but they'll ask you to live the honor code. You can't, drink and do drugs and, all these different things. But BYU, it's an awesome school. They price it very low. Tuition's like $3,000, super cheap.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And it's a beautiful place, great opportunities. I just wanted to say, like, don't be scared. And that's not only for BYUs, it's any school. Don't be scared of afraid of any religious associations or like what other people may think. Like, BYU Hawaii, awesome school. You're not going to feel pressured to join our church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure people will ask you, but
Mm-hmm.
don't be scared. It's an awesome school. And if you liked what I said, look into it. Anyone can come here. It's super cool.
Nice. Well said. All right, Max. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.